Hi traders, welcome to this update on the Platinum automated trendline trading system. It's the 9th of May 2013. Product is pretty much ready to go into a soft launch condition now. Ironed out all of the issues which we had. So now we have an updated graphical user interface. We have some simplification. We've got an improved trendline scanning facility, and we have working OCO capabilities. We also have profiles now, so basically you can set the system up to record and hold 4 trader defined profiles for specific types of automated trendline trading activity, and you can quickly deploy those onto new charts and new trend lines within a couple of mouse clicks, so very quick to configure. We also have improved the way the system works on load, so you don't have any more user interfaces popping up asking for file paths. That's all taken care of programmatically. We also have improved the way that the interface works in the way that when you want to load it onto another chart, for example, you simply go down to your expert advisors, load another Platinum EA onto the chart, and you don't get any multiple pop-ups of the interface or anything like that. We've implemented a server socket based facility within Java to handle the multiple instances of the interface. Okay, so what else have we done? If we go back to, let's just use this cable chart here as a demonstration. So we've got an hourly cable chart. Let's make it a little bit bigger, and we can see we've had a bit of a sell-off this afternoon, coming into an area of consolidation down here. So let's place an order or a trend line in this area here. We'll load up Platinum, and what I'm going to do is just quickly scan the chart, which will pick up this trend line here, 509.44. Press OK, as it's warning us the trend line is not automatically configured. I have an existing buy template which will implement buy touch behavior with 2 take profit levels. So if I press active and then save those settings, we can now see a grid has popped up on the chart for us. This is a trigger grid. Let's just go to properties, right click properties on the chart, show object descriptions, and now we can see some meaning to these lines. So we can see we've got a stop here underneath this level of price action and 2 take profit levels which have been put in based upon our profile. And we can easily see what that is by looking at profit controls in the system, and we can see we've got a 50% exit at 20 pips and another 50% coming out at 40 pips. We can change these exit levels in 2 ways. We can either manually adjust the take profit levels and save those, as you can see. The other way of adjusting the levels is to drag them dynamically on the chart, so we can just select the level, hold the mouse down and just hold it, take it to the level you want it to go to, and when the next tick comes in, these intercepts will basically link up to the level. Now if we go back to the interface and reselect the trend line, go back to profit controls, we've now seen that TP2 level has moved up to 63 pips. So we've got 2 ways to control the system, either from the interface or dynamically from the chart itself. So the idea with the grid is to actually use the grid to basically line up your stop loss and take profit levels with price action, and also support and resistance based levels such as pivots. So we could easily just layer in our pivots by going to our custom indicators. These are FX Algo Trader pivots, so let's just put in some we use the daily pivots version 3 system, and I'm just going to move the Java interface out of the way, OK those settings, and now we can see our pivots are coming in here as well. So we might want to say, well, let's take our first profit level out just before the central pivot on the day, and our TP2 level, we could arguably move that up towards these highs here, depending on our time frame that we're looking for this trade. Okay, so one thing that's kind of pretty critical is you can see down here in the existing terminal window, we've got some existing trades on the euro dollar which are just essentially demo trades. There's no particular methodology behind these, but what these are is they're trades triggered from one trend line. So we've got a trend line number 25115 here, and I've set this trend line up using the interface, and if we go back to it and select it, you can see the maximum number of orders to the trend line is 4, and it's got a minimum order interval of 1 minute between each order. One of the key things though with the improved version is the ability to simply close MT4 down. If I just close MT4 completely, close down the Platinum interface, and then when I reopen MT4, what happens is you can see that the system remembers what the previous trades were, what the levels were, what all the actual trendline configuration settings were. It uses our proprietary data handling system, which holds all this data on your system. So you don't have to reconfigure all your trend lines or any of that kind of stuff. So we look in our files folder in the MT4 file system, and what you can see here is two trend lines, trendline 25114 euro dollar and trendline 50944 cable, and you can see that they've been set up on today's date. And what the system does is it mops up after itself, so we don't end up having a load of trend lines stored in your files folder in MT4 which contain specific information for each trend line. What the system does is it uses the global variable table, which looks like this in MT4, and you can see these two trend lines have a value, and which is actually the current time server value, and obviously the date when they're created. And if these trend lines are not updated within 60 seconds, the system will basically remove them from the system. So I'll demonstrate that. So if we go to our cable chart here, and we'll just select this trend line we just drew, delete it, and what will happen in a couple of ticks time is this trigger grid will disappear as so. And then if we wait for 1 minute, 1704 now, we'll wait for 1 minute, and we'll then look at our global variable table, which currently looks like this, with the two global variables displaying the trend line. So in a minute's time we'll come back. Okay, it's 1705. Now we're looking at the global variable table again, and you can see we've only got one trend line now, 25115 euro dollar, which maps with our euro dollar chart over here. As we remove the sterling or the cable trend line on this chart, the system has basically updated the global variable table, and if we go to our files folder and have a look in there, not in that folder, let's go to if we scroll down to trend lines, you can see we have one trend line now, trend line 25115 euro dollar. So it's removed that trend line from our chart. So this is just housekeeping. Essentially, this isn't something which users or traders would necessarily be that concerned about. It's just kind of good programming practice to make sure that we mop up the software footprint as we go. So there's a couple of key things. Let's talk a little bit about exits as well. So we have on these trades here, which are again just really for demo purposes. You can see these dotted yellow lines represent order joins, and all these joins are so that you can basically join up each trade with the associated order and levels. So you can see this trade here has basically got it's the order which makes it is 872.4624, and it's got two exit levels, TP1 and coming up here to TP2 at 50%. Let's just show you what happens if we manually drag this take profit level into price action. First of all the orders are updated, and you can now see that TP1 level has disappeared. And if we look at our orders window down here, you can see this lot size has been reduced by 50% to 0.05. And in the order comments, you can see from 872.48624, and there's obviously a new MT4 trade or ticket number associated with this order, which is 872.49900. So if we look up in the TP2 level, which was associated with the order we just mentioned, we can see that that has been dynamically updated to reflect the new order number, or the new order ticket number, which relates exactly to the order in the terminal window. So we're constantly tracking our orders as we scale out of positions and the order numbers. So this is just, I mean, this is a reasonably complicated multiple trade with multiple exit scenario, but it's not that difficult to see what or how things relate to each other once you use the order joins. If you want to change the way the order joins look, you can simply go into the interface, select the trend line, go to display controls, move the interface where you feel comfortable with it. So all these settings will be maintained, so if you move it there and then reload it, it will obviously remember its positioning. And if we want to change the color of the joins to say white, and change the join line style to say dash dot, and save those settings, you can now see those join styles and colors have been changed across the board for this particular trend line. Of course, you may want to have trend lines configured completely differently in different color schemes, etc., and that's no problem. So if we want to set up a short trade scenario above this price action, we go back, scan our chart, and we can now see another trend line is within our selected trend line list. Click on that once this is not set up for order trading. We may want to have a simple sell based order, and I've got a profile in here called just sell. If I activate that and then save it, we can see this is a sell touch order. If I put the grid on, just to show grid, and save that, we can see where our entry and exit levels are. So this is using a two take profit levels, each with a 50% exit and a stop loss, which is up here. What you also may think is, well, perhaps this is all getting a bit complicated in terms of what I'm seeing on the screen. So can we simplify it? Well, yeah, we can. So if we go back to the original order number, trend line 25115, go to display controls and then turn off the show SL and TP data down here, save those settings. You can now see we've got rid of all of those levels, and we can also remove the order joins as well. So we can now see what we're doing a bit more clearly with this new trend line that we're setting up. And so obviously we can manually move these levels around as we see fit, and so on. And those changes will be reflected in the interface when we go back in. So let's just reselect the trend line again, and you can now see, sorry, wrong trend line, 51769. It's got a 6 pip stop now, and we're running a 20 pip exit on the first exit and a 54 pip exit 2. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how things have changed a little bit. The profiles are pretty powerful, very quickly set things up on new charts with completely new automated trendline behavior. I'll demonstrate here again on cable. So we can simply show the interface, scan the chart again. Here's our new trend line 51935, and I want to make this a buy touch. So I just turn the old profile off, activate the buy touch with 2 take profit levels, save it, and there we go. That is now configured and in the market, monitoring, ready to receive or ready to place orders if price action enters the appropriate trigger zones. So there you go, that's a quick overview of the new changes to the system. I'll go through some more comprehensive functionality in later videos. Thank you for watching.